Namaskar everybody and welcome to the 24th day of our Dhanurmasa Satsanga. Lakshminatha Samarambham Natayamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yugma Rugma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadguror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramahanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदप्राचेत सादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना. With prayers at the lotus feet of Lord Rama and Acharya, let us go to our topic today. So yesterday we saw how all the sages of Dandakaranya forest came over and begged Rama and requested him to please protect them from all the Rakshasas who were troubling their tapas and bringing obstacles in the yajnas that they were performing. So Rama agrees to that. Now still he and Lakshmana and Sita, they move around in that area and they visit all the rishis who are there in that Dandakaranya seeking their blessings. Now, as time passes by like this, Sita is wondering, this Rama has taken this vow that he is going to destroy those Rakshasas. And still he doesn't seem to be doing anything about it. What is he waiting for? So she decides that it is time to remind Rama of his words to the rishis. But how she does that, how she inspires him to take that at this time, to take up that vow and start acting at this time, that is very beautifully described. So what Sita says is in Valmiki Ramayana, the shloka, Trini eva vyasanani atra kamajani bhavanti uta mithya vakyam tu paramam tasmat gurutara ubhau paradara abhigamanam vina vairam cha raudrata. So she says one day, she's telling Rama, there are three things, biggest mistakes that people do. And these are because they have unnecessary, unwanted desires. What are those three things? The first one is to speak lies, to speak false utterances. Then there are other two. The second one is having some kind of fascination, having some kind of unholy desire for another person's wife. And the third one is without any reason, when you don't have enmity with somebody, being cruel to that person. These are the three things which people make the biggest mistakes. So Sita is telling Rama that for you, the first two are not there. You are not the kind of person who ever speaks falsehood. You always speak only the truth. And you definitely have no desire for anybody else's wife. You are all the time, you are ekapatni vrata, so you are only my husband. So you are not even looking at other women. So those two things you don't have. But what is this third kind of problem that you are having? That why you are wanting, why did you promise those Rakshasas that you will, why did you promise the rishis that you will kill the Rakshasas? What did the Rakshasas do to you? We have come for Vanvasa here, isn't it? So it is our job to go meet all the rishis, let us take their Ashirvada, let us also do dhyana, tapas, and we will spend this time and go back to Ayodhya. Why? You don't have any personal enmity with the Rakshasas. Then why are you saying that you will kill them? She asks like this. And then to drive home that point, she narrates one story to Rama. She says, oh Rama, when I was a small child, my father used to tell me this story. Janakaraja used to tell me this story. Once there was a sage, one rishi was there. He was doing tapas, and as his tapasya started increasing in fervor, this Indra got very scared. Now, this is the problem always depicted, that Indra, who is the king of Swarga, when somebody starts doing more austerities, he is scared, thinking that they are doing that tapas so that they can become next king of king of Swarga. They can throw him away and take his throne. So he is worried about that. So what he does is, he decides that this person's tapas has to be broken now. So what he does, he comes in the guise of one Kshatriya to that tapasvi. and he brings his sword. So this is Indra now, that Kshatriya has come, and he tells that he speaks to that Tapasvi and says, I am going on a Tirtha Yatra now. So I found that this sword of mine is very precious to me. But since I'm going on a Tirtha Yatra, I cannot take this sword and go. So you please keep with you, safeguard this sword of mine and take care of it. When I come back from my yatra, I will come and take that sword again. So that Rishi agrees. He says, okay, fine, you leave it in the corner there. But this Rishi is a very conscientious kind of person, no? So now he is worried that he has kept that sword in the corner there. So in the middle of his tapas, he keeps looking. He opens his eyes and he sees that is that sword there? Is it there? Nobody else should take it away because I have given the word to that fellow that I will take care of this sword. So he keeps watching. Then after some time, he finds that it is too much of anxiety for him to keep looking at it in the corner. So he brings and keeps it next to him. Now, although it is next to him, still in the middle, he feels, anxious. So he keeps looking whether it is there. So after some time, what happens? He says, okay, let me know. If it is on the floor, I can't make out whether it is there or not. If somebody takes it away, I will not know. So let me keep it in my lap. So he keeps it in his lap and he starts to meditate. Now, gradually, that effect, that sword is that Kshatriya connected thing, right? So, after some time, what happens? He is meditating, he's trying to meditate. That sword is on his lap, but the nature of that contact with that sword is such that he feels instigated to start doing something with that sword. And so he goes out here and there and he cuts some trees and he then hits somebody with the sword and so on, and his tapas is broken. So Indra's objective was achieved. Now, why Sita is telling this story to Rama? She's telling that my father told me this story and said that when somebody is trying to do tapas and dhyana and all that, just mere contact with the sword can change their mental status. It can change their prakriti. That tapasvi, who was a brahmana, who was meditating, because of proximity with that sword, he got that kshatriya mentality and he got this thought that the sword is in my hand, I should go and hit somebody with it. So, like that, the mind gets corrupted. So, I think Rama, similar thing has happened to you, she's saying, because you are always holding, now you come into the forest, you're always holding this dhanusha in your hand, isn't it? So because of that, because you're holding the dhanusha, you've got this thought that you want to kill these rakshasas, whereas those rakshasas have actually not done anything bad to you personally. How you are affected, like that Sita says. So when Sita says this, Rama realizes what she is trying to tell, and he tells her that actually it was wrong for me to wait for the rishis to come and complain. I should have only protected them before now, but I have not done it. So at least now I am going to do it, he says. And then what Rama says is unimaginable. He tells what is his sankalpa, what is his pratignya. He expresses that very clearly. He says to Sita, Apyaham jivitam jahyam त्वां वा सीते स लक्ष्मणां न तु प्रतिज्ञां संश्रुत्य ब्राह्मणेभ्यो विशेषतः तत् अवश्यं मया कार्यं ऋषीणां परिपालनम् अनुक्तेन अपि वैदेही प्रतिज्ञाय कथं पुनः. So he says, I know that I will always be safe and everything will be good with me. But suppose for some reason I have to give up my life, or for some reason I have to give you up, or for some reason I have to give up Lakshmana. I can do all that. I don't mind giving you up, Sita. I don't mind giving up Lakshmana. I don't mind giving up my life also. But a promise, especially the promise which I have made to the Brahmanas, I will never give up that promise, he says. And because of that, so they have not bothered me. The Rakshasas are not trouble to me, but the Rakshasas are causing trouble to the Rishis. And that protection of the Rishis, definitely it should be done to me, done by me. Whether the Rishis ask or not, because I am a Pratinidhi of Bharata here in the forest, I should be protecting the Rishis. It is my duty to protect them. So even if they had to not ask, it was my duty to protect them. Then when I have already promised the Rishis, will I not keep that promise? Definitely I will keep that promise, says Rama. And in these words, Rama makes very clear what is his sankalpa. And this is the closest we can get to Rama expressing in words what is the very purpose of his avatara. So it is very significant here. The Acharyas tell that how Rama has made this promise. He says that I may give up Sita, I may give up Lakshmana. Now, why he is quoting these things? Because Sita is very dear to him. Lakshmana is even more dear to him. And he says, we know he is Lord himself. So there is no chance of his life ever going. But he's saying, I may even give up my life, but I will not give up my promise to protect the Brahmanas, the rishis who have come to me asking for protection. So this is the pratignya of the Lord. And in Avatara after Avatara, we see this very sankalpa of the Lord. He always takes Avatara to make sure that he's doing he's protecting the sadhu samrakshana he's doing. He is doing nivarana of the dushkarma people, of the evildoers, and he is going to establish dharma. So this, the Acharyas say, is reflected by the manner in which Rama, Sita and Lakshmana are walking. The relationship between certain entities is reflected in that. So initially, when they came to the forest, always Rama used to tell Lakshmana to go ahead and Sita would be in the middle and Rama would follow in that in the end. That was the order. But now, ever since they have entered the Dandakaranya forest, now when it is time for action, always the three of them, they are walking in such a way that Rama is in front, Sita is in the middle, and Lakshmana is at the end. So this Rama is in the beginning, Sita is in the middle, and Lakshmana is at the end. This is expressed by Valmiki Rishi in the 11th Sarga when he says, Agratah prayayau Ramah, Sita madhye sumadhyama, Prishtatah tu dhanushpanihi, Lakshmana anujagamaha. So what is the meaning of this? Rama traveled ahead, Sita, glorious Sita in the middle, and the bow-wielding Lakshmana was at the end following them. So here the Acharyas tell us that this pattern, this arrangement indicates to us the three parts of the pranava, which is Om. So when we say Om, this Om is actually made up of three sounds. A, U, Ma. So A refers to Paramatma. It is always told that Akarartho Vishnu. So A is the Paramatma. Ma at the end is the Jivatma. In this case, Ma is represented by Lakshmana. A is the Paramatma, Rama. And who is in the middle? Who is linking these two together? It is Mahalakshmi Devi. It is in this case Sita. So also the Acharyas say, Akarochate Vishnu Sarvalokaika Nayakaha. So the one who is the Nayaka of the entire world, the one who is the Lord of the entire world, that Vishnu is indicated by A. And Ukarena Uchate Lakshmi. So, Ukara refers to Lakshmi Devi and Makaro Dasavachaka. In this case, that Dasa is Lakshmana, but in all normal cases, in case of human beings like us, we are the Dasas. We are indicated by the Ma. So what does this show? That the Jivatma, the Makara, is the Dasa of the Divya Dampati, Narayana and Lakshmi. So just like Lakshmana was serving Rama and Sita, it is the duty of us as Dasas to always serve them. And because of this intimate connection between us and the Lord will definitely take care and protect us. All we need to do is, we need to say that I am prepared to let you protect me. What is our problem? We are not ready to accept the help of God. We think we will take care of ourselves. That is the mistake that we are making. The day we realize that we are not having anything to do in this regard, then the Lord will definitely step in and take care of us. He is waiting for us to turn to Him. That's all. So today we have seen one small bit of this, one incident where Rama is being reminded of his pratignya by Sita. Now here what is there for us to learn? When Sita is speaking, she talks about those three durgunas which people have. And we need to see how much of that do we have in our life. Do we have the habit of speaking lies? Many times people have made a habit that forget about big things and telling lies in situations where it is really a matter of life and death. That's a different story. In fact, in the Shastras, it is told that in certain situations, the truth, if you don't tell also, it is okay. We'll not get into that right now because already we have enough number of people talking lies just like that. We don't need somebody to justify it using Shastra further. But Many times we notice that even for the simplest of things, for small things, we tell lies. So that is a very big durguna, and it takes away the chaitanya in our vani. It takes away the power that our speech has. When we are always speaking lies, then it is not a good quality to have. It's a bad quality. It's a durguna. So we must make sure that we don't pick up this habit. Second thing, having unholy desires for another person's spouse. That also is a wrong thing, and we have to make sure that we don't let that happen to us. Thirdly, getting angry without any reason. Now, in case of Rama, when Sita told, that is a different thing. But for us, do we have this trend? Do we have this trait that some two people, something is happening there? Do I get involved unnecessarily in that? Do I talk and find fault with people unnecessarily? Do I simply get angry with someone when there is no reason at all for me to be involved there? All these things we need to analyze for ourselves and see how much of these durgunas we have within us. Then Acharyas explain why Sita is bringing up this topic. Why is Sita telling that story and all that? Does she really mean that Rama should not kill the Rakshasas? Is that what is her intention? No. In reality, Sita wants to make sure that Rama will do whatever is the work that he is supposed to do. So she wants to remind Rama that enough we have roamed about in this forest, meeting all the Rishi Munis and all that. Now, whatever purpose of your avatara, it's time you started getting to work. And we must make sure that your work is done properly. To remind Rama, she brought up this topic. And only thing she did was she told in a different way. Sometimes the acharyas explain that a person, a gardener, will have planted a tree, okay? And after a sufficient amount of time passes, sometimes he may shake that tree. Why is he shaking that tree? Not because he wants to loosen that tree and uproot it. He's shaking the tree to check how firmly the root has got fixed. So the purpose of the gardener shaking the tree is not to uproot the tree, but to check how firmly the root of that tree has got fixed. So that if it is not fixed, he can do something to fix it further. Similarly, Sita is telling Rama, why do you want to fight the Rakshasas? What have they done to you? What is this that she is doing? Does she really mean that Rama should not fight the Rakshasas? No. She is throwing words like this to see what is Rama's response, to elicit a proper response from the Lord, so that once he voices his intention, once he expresses his sankalpa, then definitely he will perform it very quickly. And in case Rama had told any other answer, then Sita Devi would have made sure that he stands firm by his resolve to kill the Rakshasas. This is why Sita has brought up this topic in this manner. Now, the Acharyas tell that whatever Rama told, the pratigna that Rama has taken, that is the biggest reassurance for us. Because many times in this world, we keep doing things thinking that we will take care of ourselves, we will manage our things, we have great plans, we want to do things a particular way. It is fine. We must do what is our part of the action that has to be done. But in our mind, we should know that everything is happening by the will of the Lord. We should have the conviction that it is He who is going to protect me. Our attitude, the Acharyas say, should be nirbharo nirbhayosmi. I don't have any bhara to carry. I have nothing to do. I'm only mechanically performing the action. The motivation for doing it is all the Lord's. It is the Lord who is doing it. So I have nothing to do. He is the one who is doing everything. Nirbhayosmi. I don't have any fear also because the Lord is protecting me. So this is the kind of bhava, this ananyarha sheshatvam, that I have no other alternative. I am solely a servant of the Lord, and my only job is to do everything with complete surrender to the Lord. This is when we can be said to be devotees of the Lord. In the Kamasikashtakam, Swami Vedanta Deshikar says at one point, he's talking to Lord Narasimha and he says, Tvai rakshati rakshakaihi kimanyaihi, Tvai cha arakshati rakshakaihi kimanyaihi. O Narasimha, if you decide that you are going to protect me, I don't need to go to anybody else. Who else I need for protection? When you have said that you are protecting me, I don't need anybody else's protection. Suppose for some reason you say that you will not protect me, then to whom else can I turn? Who else is there for me? Nobody else can protect me. You are my sole refuge. So, with that bhava, we should live our lives. That is what the Lord wants us to do. And here when Rama says that I may give up Sita, I may give up Lakshmana, I may give up my life itself, but I will never give up the word which I have given to the rishis, and I will definitely protect them. Then that is the biggest reassurance that the Lord can give us, that He is our eternal protector. All we need to do is we need to remove our ego from the process. We need to stop thinking that we will protect ourselves. We need to understand that surrender to the Lord, and that is the only thing we need to do. That I am not capable of anything at all, you have to take care of me. When we say that, then the Lord's grace starts flowing into our life, and we will notice a major change in how our life spans out. So let us offer Kritagnyata to the Lord for this reassurance that He has given to us. Let us offer Kritagnyata to the Acharyas for teaching us these concepts. And let us pray that we will be able to perform this kind of surrender. Just as, see, the Rishi Munis, actually, they had so much tapobala. With that, they could have destroyed those Rakshasas. But they did not do that, because if they say that I will do it, then they are claiming that they are the doers, that ahankara and mamakara, that I am the doer and this is my action, that will come into the picture, which is something totally against the effort that the rishis are doing. So they do not have that. They have the sense of surrendering to the Lord, and it is the Lord who protects. So let us also try to cultivate that bhava of the rishis of Dandakaranya. Let us pray that the Lord will bless us to be able to understand these things and follow them in our life also. Mangalam Kosalendraya Mahaniya Gunabdaye Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam Veda Vedanta Vedyaya Meghashyamalamurtaye Pumsam Mohana Rupaya Punyashlokaya Mangalam Pitrabhaktaya Satatam Bhratrabhihi Sahasitaya Nandita Khila Lokaya Ramabhadraya Mangalam Srimate Raghuviraya Setu Langita Sindhave जितराक्षसराजाय रणधीराय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्यपुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यैः सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम्. Thank you, everybody, and we will meet again tomorrow with the next part of the story of Ramayana. Namaskar.